If you look for a split board.
Why did you guys do it at 8 o'clock out of curiosity?
8:30.
Why did you do it at 8:30? I don't understand. Like, you want a meeting time or something?
Water.
Well,
We have another meeting.
why not at
We generally don't.
I see, yeah.
Sad. Okay. Sad day.
All the,
What?
anyone's welcome to stay and attend, but, I would like to get the
Right,
meeting.
exactly. Agree. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of, but I'm just saying, your county is too. You guys have county, try to cut it. It's what counts to.
What you gotta do is.
I think at this point, people would be okay with roads and like secondaries getting cut, these are the things that you guys pay. I mean, the riverway and stuff like that, all those are part of your guys' budget. Now, if they start seeing that things are getting cut and that lawn doesn't get mowed and those parks aren't maintained as much because those are the things that are coming out of the budget and they wanted to see that, they do what she did with the cemetery and fund it themselves. I know you guys are stuck in here because you know what? As much as people want to praise the governor, she cut every single thing that pays for all this crap. Just so she can look good. Like, she looks good, oh, taxes are only 3%, but what does that fund? Well, that funds these things, so that's a problem. And I get what you guys have done, I'm not saying this town's crap, you can look at the town and say this is the best town around. There's a lot of good here, but we're at that point, like, seriously, I've really thought about moving. Online, because I couldn't afford to live
They come in.
and it's not just the
to lower
cost
the
of
rent.
the county tax, it's the cost all the way around. And those things are not, I can't cut it, like, you cut everything you can, like your cell phone, you cut your cable, you cut your, I can't cut.
I would have to look it up.
That's where I'm at. So do everything you guys can to like, not only cut it, but cut it. And then find out what your breaking point is.
Realize the bid that you got,
You know,
they come in.
I wouldn't want to
lower.
I'm not a big Facebook marketer, but I try to pay attention a little bit.
They never tried to lower.
I know you guys are on. I see you guys, I recognize you guys' names sometimes.
Pardon?
You wanna grab my card? I can bring these numbers to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good.
Good luck. It's
We're gonna
really
call
everything
meetings
got.
earlier, please, have a seat.
Give me a call and let me know.
Oh.
Yeah,
You let me know.
yes, sir. I'll bring it
Look
to you.
it up and see.
Yeah, it's here.
Thank you.
Take care.
You too, yeah. Thank you, Amanda.
Don't forget my ditch. What's going on in the front of you?
Pledge of allegiance.
Well, if you want to say the pledge again, let's go ahead and say the pledge again. It's not that big of a deal.
Join us for the pledge of allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now I need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approve the minutes of the March 17th, 2025 regular meeting.
I got a chance to read through and it looked good to me. I would make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approve the claims filed with County Auditor, $566,487.32.
Make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approve the employee claims filed with the County Auditor for $1,075.41.
Make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approve the approved liquor licenses for 3 Golf Course and Buffalo Creek Golf Course and Country Club.
We've looked at those and everything's okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the liquor license for 3 Elms Golf Course and Buffalo Creek Golf Course and Country Club.
Second.
Yeah, copies of their license was in here,
Yeah,
so,
I
yeah,
seen them.
everything's in order.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approve the liquor license ownership amendment for the Buchanan County Fair Association.
This one's a little different. They just changed, because they're a board, they changed who their contacts were, so we get it as an amendment. Probably within a week or so, we will actually have their renewal for approval. So if you see it one right after another, that's why.
Oh, okay. So,
So this is truly just an amendment. They're changing their contact on their license.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approve the resignation of Tracey Campbell, Correctional Officer, effective March 21st, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approve the resignation of Rachell Amos, Children's Navigator for MHDS, effective March 31st, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approve resignation of Maud Bentley, Sumner Township Clerk, effective June 1st, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All in
And
favor?
that will be something that I would maybe suggest reaching out to the township trustees to see if they have someone in mind. If not, it may be a position that needs to be advertised for. Needs to be in place by June 1st, because then we will have year-end financials.
Good.
At the end of June, 1st of July, that need completed.
So she's a,
She's a clerk.
right, and she's doing this effective June 1st.
Yep. It was nice. She gave us a good heads up.
Have a motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Somebody want to take the lead on that, or
I can give him a call.
you want to?
Sure.
Okay. Place on file the following manure management plans. Amendment to Cook Brothers Limited, Newton Township, Section 5. HST LLC, Hazleton Township, Section 35. Ringold, Cono Township, Section 35. Tyler and Decker Paris, Buffalo Township, Section 34. Monti Pork LLC, Newton Township, Section 16. I need a motion to place those on file.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Set public hearings for the zoning amendments.
These were the changes that Amber requested last week that you approved her to step forward with. They do require public hearings, 3 hearings, unless you guys propose to waive the second or waive the third, whatever the case may be. So it's just a resolution setting those amendment changes, and then I will have to send it to the paper. So the dates I have for that is April 7th at 9:30, April 14th and 21st at 9:15.
What were the times on the second tape, please?
9:15.
Thank you.
If we, do we need to,
I did it all in one resolution, so we can only have one publication.
okay,
However, once you go through, like, for example, the first reading, that's truly up to you folks if you decide to waive those second and third hearings.
all right. I'll make a motion, to set the public hearings for the zoning amendments, on April 7th at 9:30, April 14th at 9:15, and April 21st at 9:15.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Chris. Okay, next on the agenda. I don't know how you pronounce this, crab,
Freedom, yeah.
what is it?
Freedom. I
Kratom discussion.
just learning about it too. Maybe sheriff or maybe public health has some more information on this, but, there's currently legislation in the works at the state level, and then, Iowa City or Johnson County or something of the sort, tried to get this in. They got it through the 3 public hearings, and then they shut it down at the last minute saying that it was, government overreach. But apparently it's, dissociative after they get so much into them.
It printed out a fact sheet.
Oh, thank you. God bless you. This is not my area. So the question becomes, if the state doesn't do anything, if they do something, then obviously we're bound not to be able to do anything further on it. But if they don't, is that something that we want to get involved in? Because it sounds like the more you get involved, the more they intake, the more disassociated they are. They're not around, they're not, I'm not really sure.
It acts like an opioid,
Okay,
you know, if you abuse it and it makes, it can put you in the hospital, it makes different people do different things. It's just not one. It's not regulated right now. As far as the state, there's no, like scheduled, violation for possession or concern, you know, of it. It's just it's a leaf that comes from like Southeast Asia or whatever that they grind up. And I think by how the people that abuse it, it is ingested by snorting it. And, it's something new on the front, just kind of like what, like the synthetic marijuanas were, you know, it just takes a while to get, you know, the state on board, getting, I guess laws, you know, cause with the laws, you have to have the chemical breakdown of the product and everything else that has to go into effect to actually regulate it. I think the FDA is starting to look into it a little bit more than, since it's becoming more prevalent in the States and how people are using it or are they abusing it. It has dietary factors of, you know, to help with diarrhea and different things that if taken normally or properly, it has benefits to it, according to, but if you use it improperly, it has the opposite benefits, like a lot of prescription drugs or anything else out there that
Is Narcan effective on this or not?
I don't believe so. And that, I don't know if there's been enough studies into it or usage. Yeah, they can go to the hospital and.
sounds like it shows up on drug tests. I didn't know about the snorting one. Like you said, it comes in a leaf. They put it in pills, they put it in drinks, people brew it into teas. So it sounds like the new thing, unfortunately.
And so I looked it up online, did some research on it. And I just did where's it sold near me? I didn't see anything in Buchanan County. I did see a couple places in Waterloo that it's sold. It's also sold on Amazon. So making a rule against it in Buchanan County, I don't think we would be able to do. There's no way to police that.
Right.
At all.
But it is marketed as kratom.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so it is.
You can go on Amazon and get it.
So
Shockingly.
yeah, no joke. So it sounds like if it's being advertised, then it sounds like that if it were to be banned, then we can directly look at the advertising, go show up at the place and see if they're actually selling it.
We have no jurisdiction over anything outside of Buchanan County.
Didn't say outside of Buchanan County.
And I, and maybe this ignorance or whatever, but I don't know without it being a law as far as like FDA or, you know, a code section for us, you know, saying that's illegal to sell or illegal to consume, how to police that outside of it without getting something maybe done on the state side of it first. So we could always, once there's something's done there, then there's something that we could put into an ordinance as a county ordinance, maybe of maybe banning, I guess if it's improperly used or how the FDA, regulates it as far as if people can buy it legally for the uses it's intended for instead of being used illegally. You know, no difference than illegal use of prescription drugs or like marijuana or
whatever the case might be.
Bob, did you have a comment or a question?
No, did I look like I was so?
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's the drugs. What, can you make it illegal if it's already legal? Is it like, but sounds like medicinal marijuana type stuff. You're darned if you do, darned if you don't, and can you regulate it?
Right.
Well, the state's bad.
Well, and that's what the struggle we had with the synthetic marijuanas right away is there were incense and all this other stuff that were used. If you use them, that product, the way it's marketed for, there's no problem. But once people abuse it and it, you know, ingesting it by smoking it or however they did it, you know, they had to make a law. Then with the laws, with especially the synthetic stuff, all they would do was change
Ingredients.
in it, then it just a trickle down effect that where they just change something they put into it. Well, that's regulated, but the same thing over here is chemically different. So now this product is not regulated. We can't do anything with it, even if somebody does have possession of it.
It's actually sold here in town.
Oh,
It's a smoke shop across from Hardy.
Kratom is?
The neon sign up there anyway.
I know it's starting to come in a lot of the,
Guess Google don't tell you everything.
No, I'd seen it down in St. Louis when I was passing by a gas station. I thought this is the worst gas station to stop at. They've got all the whatever flyers.
bars and
Then I happened to see the kratom and I was like, I don't have any idea what this is.
I don't know, my friend uses it, he lost his hands and some other injuries and, he went to Mayo Clinic. And they said that was the one they were gonna allow him to stay on, that he needed to completely quit drinking and, using, you know, any kind of drugs for pain management, and just but they allowed the kratom. And they said that there's not enough evidence to say whether it was even bad, that they hadn't even in the entire hospital had any negative outcomes from it, so. I'm not saying anything else for
No,
me.
sure.
I think he bought it in the wine gas station, I think. That's where he first got it, to try it in order.
But
I don't know what's that.
it takes over in the schools, then you'll know you have a problem.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunately gonna happen.
Yep.
That's the way things work.
Yeah.
Is this, in the vape pens and do they put this in the vape, smoke things?
That's not one of the things that they listed, so I guess if that is, I don't know.
Not that we know of. People are they'll try it. I'm sure it's been tried.
And that seems to be a real problem with the young people. They,
Oh, yeah.
I mean. It's really,
Any other comments on the kratom?
If it does something, we can revisit it.
Sounds good.
Okay, discuss the rules with the Matthew Construction Company.
Okay, with Matthew, and I did run this by the county attorney's office. They wanted a couple of things changed, but they weren't able to get into the software that was being used and make the changes. So what I did was I forwarded that on to Matthew and requested that they make those changes. He hasn't gotten that back to me, or I haven't seen it yet. And so if we could authorize the chairman of the board to sign the agreements, subject to the changes recommended by the county attorney's office.
I would make that motion.
It was just legal jargon. There wasn't any substantial.
Just purely supporting.
Yeah. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The concerns were kind of revolving around, damages or substantial damages here.
Okay, next is asphalt of the W40 bridge.
All right, the W40 bridge is north of Kowalski on W40. And the issue is they did a deck overlay on that about 30 years ago. The deck is just completely breaking up. The old rule of thumb is you don't cover a concrete deck with asphalt because the salt will go through it and cause the concrete to really rot out faster. In this case, they've got a high pro mix of asphalt that they're claiming is pretty much impermeable. And we don't have the money to replace that bridge right now. We've got others that we need to be replacing worse. So what we'd like to do is put 1.5 inches of hot mix asphalt over that existing concrete deck. Then 5-10 years down the road, we should be in a position to replace it. The bridge was built about 1952, so that's putting us 73 years old.
And an option of milling it and putting fresh concrete down.
Generally, it's over
Possibly.
100,000.
And this would be on asphalt would be how much?
28,607.
So it's a significant difference. Oh, the concrete would last another 40 years probably.
But the rest of the bridge might. I'll put it in perspective. The state transferred this to me about 1993. Or excuse me, 2003. And we hadn't had it a month, and I get a phone call about 2 o'clock in the morning where an individual drove through it with his Ford Escort, basically. We're right through the concrete railing. It was that rotten. And after that, then I had to bring the railing up to standards and had to put some tri-beam rail on it. But I remember that one well.
Yeah.
So 28,000 would be our estimate.
28,607.
Do you need us to authorize this purchase or?
Yeah, that's what, I don't, I just agreement to me. Generally speaking,
It's in
that
his-
motion to approve, it's,
Basically, it's in his budget, so.
yeah, it's, comes under asphalt works.
When
So
would
then
they
it's-
be,
If it's in this budget, you folks don't need to take action on it.
how timing wise, what are we looking at? Because
When,
you've already got the diagonal gonna be closed down, and
they
that's part
would,
of your.
yes, they would end up flagging, so you'd have 1-lane traffic control. And they would end up doing that sometime this summer, which is gonna happen while the Kowalski shut down, the diagonal shut down. Because that's when the asphalt plant's gonna be sitting down by Brandon. That's where the hot mix will come from.
Okay.
So we
Yeah.
have to be careful about those haul trucks getting through there. all those-
Well, we don't have any haul trucks, but it's by citizens, the traveling public.
That's just the word. Okay.
Yeah, that's the real concern on them. Going back to the other, yeah, that's gonna be pretty much all summer, Kowalski diagonal all summer long, that's gonna be pretty much all summer long too.
Dead load's not an issue. There's no engineering concerns. I mean, it's just.
No,
it's just a
it's
financial-
generally designed for 1.5 inch overlays, and that's why you try and keep it to a minimum.
How long will that take?
Oh, it should be a matter of hours, so they would be in and out the same day.
Oh,
That's not so bad.
Not a big inconvenience.
Yeah.
The other than you got flaggers there.
Just for, let's see, let's go ahead and entertain a motion to approve Brian pursuing this.
Moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Uh,
All right, thank you. Next, this is Brian also, AI presentation.
Yes, and I was hoping that, we can run right through the computer system there where you can grant him access.
He's on,
You got- Okay, yeah, and I don't know if there's any way of showing it on the TV. My apologies on that, I was busy with Jason on it, but I did directly say put it on the TV. Basically what it is, and I guess we could have him start talking, but,
I'm trying to get him unmuted.
okay. Basically, there were some questions came up about AI, artificial intelligence, and the things it can do.
John, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
All right. Thank you. Thanks again, Brian. Thanks for everyone allowing me to crash your meeting here today. What I'm here to do today is just educate everyone on the biggest buzzword around, which is AI, right? Artificial intelligence. So I met Brian a few weeks ago when I was presenting for the National Association for County Engineers, and I had about an hour meeting with everyone. So I've tried to condense it down to 20 minutes or less, right? So somewhere around there. So I'm trying to make it as quick and easily accessible for you. So without further ado, let me start sharing my screen here and we'll begin. Okay. Can everyone see my PowerPoint presentation?
Yes,
Okay, so I'm with Dynamic Infrastructure. I'm John Ford. I'm the Customer Success Director here. And what this presentation is about is we called it AI in Jeans, but it's really this, right?
You cut out there for a second.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so sorry, I'm in a hotel. I'm traveling right now, so and I have noticed it's a little spotty. So if I miss a step, please let me know, and we'll continue on. But so what I'm here to show you today is what is artificial intelligence and a little bit about what dynamic infrastructure is. So we're an engineering AI company, and what we do is we are the global leader specializing in civil engineer. We have over 1 million assets analyzed from their images and inspection reports over the last 5 years. There's no one out there that does what we do. And essentially what we're looking to be able to provide is we help our county engineers or any engineer monitor health like conditions for their bridges by using the inspection reports, the imaging, and being able to provide it to them in a real-time web cloud based application. So literally just being able to open up a Google page and typing in our website, and they can access all of their assets that they have in their county. And we are trusted by counties, we deal with towns, and we also deal with BOT civil engineers. And we always want to tell them thank you and allowing us to be able to help them out with that. So today's agenda, so what I'm going to go over is we're going to look at practical AI tools for everyday use. I'm going to show you a couple live demos, and then we're going to go over what is engineering AI and advanced AI built for county engineers. And I just want everyone to remind this is an inclusive environment. There's no right or wrong answers. You know, I'm here today to just try to educate everybody because everyone talks about artificial intelligence, but no one really knows what it is, right? So we're going to take a fun and interactive journey here today. So this slide here, and by the way, I will send this over to everyone who's copied on the email, and anybody else wants it, I will send it to them as well. So feel free to ask for that. But this is our practical AI tools for everyday use. What we have done is we have taken a look at over the thousands of AI tools available for you for personal and professional use, and we've tried to combine it and designate into 7 categories here, okay? So as you can see, there's some ones that might pop up for you like ChatGPT, there's Gemini by Google, and there's some other ones on here that we think that will really help you on your day-to-day access with this here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show you some of these tools, and I'm going to demo some of them with you. But you know, I always say I get the case of the what's, right? When I'm using new technology, you know, what if I click this? What if I do that? You know, what if I hit the wrong button? This will allow us to basically put your mind at ease. And it'll allow us to, you know, like my 79-year-old mother, she'll hit the Netflix button and panic, right? And call me. I want to make sure you don't have those cases with these tools. So let's begin, and let me show you a couple of them right now. So the first one I wanted to demonstrate here is ChatGPT Tasks. So what is ChatGPT Tasks? It's a great tool to help you automate and be able to help you on a day-to-day with getting certain tasks done. It's not really a reminder system, but it's more focused on being able to provide you information. So I was new to civil infrastructure, right? And I want to learn more about bridges. So if you can see there, every day at 2:30, I ask ChatGPT Tasks to send me something new about bridges, right? It emails me a reminder in my Google Calendar, and it also would send me a new feature every day at 2:30. So the first one it was sent to me, it says the longest bridge on earth, a feat of engineering, right? So now it gave me a breakdown of this bridge, of this learning ability, and this kind of ties into the rule of 100. So if you spend 18 minutes a day on a subject or a specific skill, within a year, you'll become an expert. So imagine if you're learning something new at the county level or even you know, personally, like I actually own a small business. I own a firework company, right? So I can use this to help me learn about fireworks, right? So I could send 9 tasks, and every day it would give me like a 2-minute read for me to be able to figure out, hey, this is how I can become a better expert in the field. we're on to the next one. So Mid-Journey. This is probably everyone's favorite, right? So this is like Bob Ross coming to life here. So Mid-Journey is a great tool for design, right? So imagine you're sitting in Bob Ross's studio and he hands you a paintbrush and he's asking you to be able to paint alongside with him. He's saying, hey, John, pick up the paintbrush and let's paint some happy trees or, make the majestic mountains. And the best I would be able to do is create a stick figure family, right? So no longer. What you can do with Mid-Journey, you can literally take your voice, your text, and actually translate it into an image. So what I've done here is I asked it to create an image depicting 3 civil engineers standing on a beautiful rural bridge during a bright, sunny day. One of the engineers should be female. They're wearing work vests and helmets. The setting should include a spring flowing underneath the bridge and a clear blue sky. What I've been able to do is now this picture has been depicted for me. So the AI was able to create this. So imagine if you could use this for your county events. Maybe you have something that you're like, oh, I'd love to be able to get a picture for graphic design, but I don't know who it is. This will do it for you. You become Bob Ross or Pablo Picasso, anybody you want. The only limitations you have is what you can articulate and ask Mid-Journey to do. And I've actually used it to help create some of my virtual backgrounds here at Dynamic Infrastructure. And I've sent this over to some other counties that have done the same thing as well. Our next one is Claude. So Claude is a great content generator and it's good for generating reporting. So in this, you can see that I've asked it to fetch the latest global EV sales data from 2013 to 2024. And then I asked it to summarize key trends and provide a table with citations and generate a clear line chart of sales. So to the right-hand side, it's maybe this nice graph and this nice chart. But to tell you the truth, I think it's too dark. It's not bright enough. I don't see that I don't actually like how it looks. So then I asked Claude to make it into a line graph chart that was easier to follow. The results are this. So you can clearly see now the battery electric vehicles, the plug-in hybrids, and the total EV sales. And you can ask this to do whatever you want. So imagine like if you're a county, right? And you're for engineers and you're asking like, well, maybe can you tell me my inventory for concrete bags or like how many guardrails have we used? You can use this for almost anything as far as generating you a report and graphing it out for ease of use, right? So this is very visually appealing and the limitations is only what you want to be able to put into the data. So that brings us to our first live demo. Okay, so I'm traveling right now, and I apologize if the internet is spotty. I'm in the hotel, and but I went outside to try and take a picture or something for you, right? I think this is something used for heating or cooling. I'm not exactly sure what it is. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to help me out, kind of define what this device is. So let me go ahead and share a different screen. I'm going to have to stop sharing here and go to the next one. Do this. Okay. Are you guys able to see ChatGPT?
Yes.
Okay. And by the way, FYI, all the tools roughly are around $15 to $20 a month. Okay. So I took a picture of the mini split and now I'm going to ask, what is this device and what is its purpose? So ChatGPT is going to reason this and it's going to determine what this device is. Hopefully, play the Jeopardy music as it slowly goes around here based on my internet. Okay, took 18 seconds. So it's going to tell me, hey, this is an outdoor unit of a mini split. I'm not going to say the name because I would just butcher it, right? So it's going to tell me what this is for, and it's made for HVA setup, right? So that was nice, right? Took me 18 seconds to figure something out that I might have to Google, or I have no idea exactly what it is. So let's take it even a step further and let's say, can you help me install this device? Which is a terrible thing. I'm great at a lot of things, but hands-on for that is a bad thing. I would need professional help with this. But let's see what ChatGPT will come up with for me. Okay, 11 seconds. So, wow, it knew who I was. It said professional installation at the very top. Shocker there. But it'll go through there and tell you your local codes, your warranties. And then down here, as we can see, it's loading up and telling me where I should go for it for a location. And it's going to go into more details about installing. And this took me a total of what, 30 seconds for me to be able to do. So imagine being able to use that in your everyday life, right? You know what I mean? Or even professionally to help you, you know, gain knowledge or being able to do anything that you really need that you might not have had access to. It's like a personal assistant. It's great. So what we're going to do now is, let me stop sharing this screen. And I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint here. Oh, wrong one. Go back here.
I think we have people who want to ask questions about the taxes. How long is this presentation?
He said.
I got about 10 more minutes, if that's okay.
Sorry, but what? Are you kidding? I can take my phone and snap a picture of that item right there and show you what it is.
Let's look and
Is he trying to sell a product here? The AI?
Let's get, let
Yes.
Is that it?
them.
Okay.
Okay. All right, let me try again here. Sorry, it just took me a second. Okay, all right. So we're back here. So we always want to mention too, with our AI system, the responsibility, right? So being able to make sure that you can actually, you know, use it the correct way and fashion that it's supposed to be designed for. For some reason, it's not letting me go back here. Just give me a second. My apologies. Well, it's not letting me move on here, so I'll just use this screen instead here, just minus my notes out. All right, are you guys able to see the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. I don't know why it's not letting me present the other one again, but we always want to use AI responsibly, right? So, and I know sometimes people can get wrong information and maybe they're thinking like, you know, realistically, when people say AI, people think the Terminator, right? You know, I mean, there's different versions. So we're basically not the generative AI, we're machine learning. But you can see here, you know, if you use AI irresponsibly, it can end up badly. Like a lawyer used it in a case and basically is going to be dismissed and not be able to be a lawyer anymore. Or even ChatGPT, we've asked it like how many R's are in a strawberry, and there's only 2, as it said, right? But there's 3. So we always want to make sure you're using ChatGPT responsibly, right? At the end of the day, or any of your AI tools. So what I want to go in here next here for you is we're going to show you some live demos of ChatGPT, Gemini, and Gamma. So this is something the county can use or you guys can use personally and professionally. So let me move back over here and we will go into the first thing. So I'm going to put it on my county engineer hat and let's pretend that the director of public works came into my office on a Thursday and said, hey, I need a report on this bridge and I need a PowerPoint presentation for the next morning. So that's not realistically possible, especially 15 minutes left in the day. So here is this 45-page report. It's all very detailed, has all the summary notes, everything that we could possibly ask for it in there, right? So I have to summarize this and maybe I have the ability to do it right away, maybe I don't. So what we can do is we can take ChatGPT and summarize this report. So let me go back over here. We'll start a new chat and we're going to upload that report into
It's in a
put in
PDF.
here, then I'm gonna ask it. And it's gonna take a second. Actually, we'll go this in the sake of time here. Okay, so there we go. All right, so now we're gonna ask it. First here. Okay. All right, so we're gonna ask it to summarize this report. For my director of Public Works. And then we're going to also ask it to provide a more detailed summary and include a section about the expenses for maintaining or replacing the bridge. Include 5 and 10-year cost scenarios. So what's going to do is going to read that report, and it is going to then summarize it for me and take that 45-page and condense it down so that I can be able to give it to the Director of Public Works. So imagine being able to do this for almost anything that you have. You know, you can always want to make sure that we double verify. So it's still summarizing. And now it's able to give me the overview, right? So the report for the bridge evaluation. And it's going to give me all the structural findings. So I know Brian was working on a, report for 300 bridges, right, Brian? And, there's all kinds of different information. So imagine being able to summarize that and save yourself the time. Of how much it's going to cost for me to replace the bridge. So now what I can do is, we always want to double check the work. We can copy this, and we're going to go over to the next tool, which is Gemini. So Gemini is a deep research tool. And what it'll specialize in, let's verify everything that ChatGPT said. So let's paste that in, that report. And then let's ask it to verify. Estimate your own price based on public records and to provide a table comparing the two estimates. Now, Gemini's a lot faster. And like I said, it's a deep research tool. So look, so it came up with its own, it's verifying it, understanding the table of contents, and being able to provide me the graph now. But the Director of Public Works asked me to be able to put this into a PowerPoint, right, or a spreadsheet. So, and we all know that takes forever to do. So let's copy it. And let's go on to our next tool, which is Gamma. Gamma is an AI presentation tool. What we can do is ask it to make us a presentation. So please make me a presentation for the Director of Public Works based on the following. So we'll hit continue. And now it's able to make me an 8-card PowerPoint presentation. So I want to make this short and sweet. So we're going to hit condense over here. And we're going to take all that information we got, that 45-page report, and now we're going to be able to choose what the theme is going to look like. And what I'll do is take, like I said, again, all that information, and it's going to put it into a PowerPoint based on this internet here today. Okay, so now it's building the actual PowerPoint. The costs, inflation, it's building it for you. So imagine being able to do this and not have to spend the time. This just helped you out with. It's adding pictures, it's adding some. As you can see, so if we start at the top here, look at that. And analyzed and did this all. So we took maybe 15. So you're able to do all this, and you can edit these slides on Gamma as well. So you can make the graphs bigger, you can change the charts, or you can look at different things on here. You can color in the copy on here, right? So if you want to change the color, you can change the pyramids on here. You can do whatever. Let's generate a thank you card because you forgot to. So thank you card. So even slide to be able to do that.
John, I think you've kind of given everybody an idea of what can be done this way. And they can almost leave it up to their imaginations how they can adapt it to work. But I know they've got to be charging forward on some other issues going on. So if we could, we'll go ahead and cut it off here.
Yeah, no problem. Well, thank you. And I hope if you guys would like to learn more, we do have our own demo for our engineering civil information. So if you'd like to learn more about that as well, I'd be happy to come back at a later time to present that.
Right now, we're kind of at this introduction phase and starting to see how you can use this on your daily environment.
Perfect. Well, hey, thank you again for everyone. If you have any
Thanks,
questions, I'll provide my email and you can reach out.
I can see where some of this is going to be necessary in the future. They came up with new requirements on bridge inspections, and it's all in the office. It's not at the bridge. They figure about 4 hours additional per bridge.
So this could cut Alex's time in drastically, maybe, potentially.
Maybe potentially, Dawn, is kind of what things are working towards in that direction.
Might have some critical infrastructure conversations on that, but.
Yeah, I think there's a whole lot of work.
What's the cycle right now on bridge inspections? Every 3 years?
2 years in Iowa. Federal guidelines on it is 4. And then if you've got some poor bridges, then you may be included in an annual inspection or even more frequent than that.
So what was that video for?
That was trying to figure out how we can operate more efficiently in the future because the demands on the system just keep getting greater and greater. And as the discussion was today, we're still taxing at the minimum. We're trying to keep it to an absolute minimum, but we've got an old infrastructure out here. We've got bridges from 1904 yet. We're still dealing with some of the old bridges.
Have you used some of the products that you can get on your phone for ChatGPT?
I haven't for that because that's an area I'm not real familiar with, and I'm not the expert.
Yeah, and that's where I would say that the ChatGPT is free. You don't need to use their services, and it is going to be that efficient. Exactly. I mean, I can share the product that he exactly did. But it's free. It's just on your phone. You just got to use it. You don't need to use this chat.
Will that get tied into the DOT's bridge inspection system since that's,
I would have to, be this specific, but generally anything you ask for is all available. Anything on the entire internet is available at your fingertip.
There's some limitations on different AI products because some of them aren't necessarily local. And there's others that you don't necessarily want to provide it information that's critical infrastructure that would be.
Well, there's, the DOT's careful who gets into the system, and yet,
So there's,
yeah,
new-
there's,
yeah, there's new laws on it and there's more.
I haven't ever,
Yeah, play with it. There's some free apps to use that will,
and it's called what again?
just any of the chat GDP. Just go-
Chat GDP, yep.
Yeah, like the product line that you're talking, like if you just take your Google and you take it and you take a picture on there, and then let's say that product, you snap a picture, it'll come up with that product and all the
Use that.
information of it, okay?
That's what he was.
And then if you just go on like Google Play. Okay, I just went on Play, the Google Play Store, and you ask for a GDP. So the GDP,
What does
and then
GDP
that-
stand for?
that it's the acronym I don't know, but basically it's exactly what he's showing you. These are all
IT
GDP.
directors got all this stuff.
AI program, GDP. You take your GDP program and then you open it up and then you ask them, hey, do this paper assignment, because my kids are using it for assignments all the time. I wouldn't know.
Well,
My kids use it, they literally, it'll write up an entire paper for them.
that was one of the things we were seeing, because I do want to do a grant application for some funding on a bridge, and
You may not need the product line he's offering, once you know how to use the free availability of GDP, to write up your papers, to ask for assignments and all of that.
thank you.
Yeah, check them,
Try and learn more on it.
because your Google at this point is AI kids. So when you
If
ask
I could just,
that, it will.
if,
Go ahead.
if I could finish out for you, I just want to let you know that those products and tools, those were the paid versions, which give you more in-depth analysis. But that's actually not what I represent. I represent a civil engineer where we compile all your bridges inspections in there for that. But she is right. There is a lot of free tools out there for you guys to use, and out there that you can with like ChatGPT. So that's great that you told them that. Thank you.
I don't know, what do you gave a presentation for that one on chat, GDP?
Just get
I
everybody
don't know.
aware of it, to make
Yeah.
everybody aware of what it can do and stuff.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for the AI presentation. I'm gonna open it up now for public comments.
I think what he'd like to say is a lot more than what most of us that he's speaking to. Go ahead. On your roads, you got a lot to say.
Is this created by AI?
It would have been better if it was.
Understand how falsely information was done?
Could be. I had no idea.
I think that's a good example.
I guess my comment is that put some secretary out who can save us money, use it. If it don't, it just
Yeah.
don't. I'm money at the bottom line here.
Absolutely. Yeah, they keep adding more and more requirements.
Any other comments?
I have one for.
You betcha.
You ready for the approval for our roads? And the form that's on your website is outdated. It goes back to 2019 or 16 or something like that. So I didn't know whether to submit my application under that or you're gonna update it.
Well, the question really goes back to, are you doing self-applied or self-applied is pretty much just, we haven't made any changes in 4 years.
But I can't go in there and change the date. That's my problem. And I thought, oh, well, shoot, I'm gonna save you money, so you wouldn't have to send it back to me.
I'm not sure how to go online and change the dates, but
Every department should have someone in their department that can change the forms on your page.
yeah. Give Janet a call and
I
talk.
will do that.
Thank you.
I will do it. And then I have a question for the supervisors, is that if, going back to the budget, if your county has ever thought about doing zero-based budgeting or performance-based budgeting when they put the budget proposal together, that we start out with zero and then each one of the departments have to justify where they're coming with their money, or if it's on performance, they have to set their goals on what, and then you determination of whether they make the goals or whatever, but before you set the budget for the following year. Has Buchanan County ever thought about doing that?
Well, I
We
guess-
thought about doing that down through the state several times.
I guess I'm not really sure what it is. I mean, I kind of do my own budgeting process philosophy, but can you give some examples of what it is or how to understand it?
I kind of understand what it is because I actually did a report on it. So you start out at 0 and then you build your budget from that.
Right.
Instead of starting out like, so this year we have $150 worth of paper towels that we're going to use, and we're just gonna carry that line across. So isn't it something you just start out at 0 and say, okay, I think I'm gonna need this? Is that what I'm understanding?
Right, each one of those budget items are, you're starting with a clean slate. It's not that you're just adding to it every year just because it's there.
Right.
So, it's a good way to be transparent. It's a good way to justify to the taxpayers of where the money's going and why it's going there. Then you wouldn't have to go through a lot of questions perhaps every year.
Right. Well, and so what we do though is when we go back through and we do our budget, we do a reestimate. So if maybe that department head comes in and says, you know what, we're really not gonna get this. We don't really need this computer this year. So then we take that out of that budget. We'll reestimate that back down to 0 because nothing is needed in that line item. So then that reduces us a mid-year.
Sort of semi
It's
semi there, but you're not quite there yet.
right.
Yeah, okay. And what about the performance base on the other side? Did you look into that also?
Performance as in employee review
No,
performances?
no, the whole budget. You'd look at that and each one of the departments would.
Like the roads department, you'd look at that and you'd say, well, your goal was to be at this budget. You know, and that you were gonna whatever they say at the beginning of the year. And then at the end of the year, you're reevaluating. And then saying, did you stay within the means of your budget? Did you keep your staff within the means? Did you meet the goals that you said you would?
We actually do that in our budgeting process in January, which would be mid-year, where we go through and look at each department, each account actually, and look at, do we need to reestimate this? Are we accomplishing what we needed to accomplish? And sometimes we have to increase a budget because of where we're at. Other times, like Dawn mentioned, we reduce that budget. At the end of the year, everything changes July 1st to the new year. So at that point, we can accumulate all of our information and we look at our
We look at the department.
performance again.
Yeah.
By department, by line item, actually. And that's how we derive our budget. Zero-based budgeting sounds really good in theory, but it would be really, really painstakingly hard.
Why would it be on?
You have to know.
You're starting with no information. If you're not looking back on what your prior performance is, it's really hard to set any expectations of what your new budget's going to be.
Maybe we could implement something like that, a few offices at a time, a few budgets at a time, but not necessarily the whole.
Well, we're kind of there.
thing.
We're kind of there, like by doing the reestimate, Keith, like we're kind of there because we do go back through and we reestimate to make sure that we're not overspending at that point in time for each line item. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of in between, I agree,
Yeah.
but, like the cost of, office supplies or whatever else, you know, kind of make those projections. Well, I guess we kind of do that with the conferences and those such
Yeah.
things. So we do something similar.
But when we're looking at a time like the people who have spoken up here an hour ago, it's that when the revenues are down and their earned income is not gonna take care of their own family needs and their, what's needed there, they have to live within their means of the earned income. And you know, and I don't have to tell you this, but you, the government at all levels, all you have to do is take it from the families because that's how you generate your income. And so if you have to look back and look at those budgets and say, okay, this year it's gonna be a difficult year, you have 0 in that budget already. You can say, okay, I have to take care of the essentials, which are the safety issues, whether it's in your department or the roads or whatever, that's your main priority. not some of the other things that perhaps could be limited or maybe eliminated altogether.
This one.
I wouldn't be in your position. I'm not running. I sure can tell you what to do when I take that responsibility, so.
One thing I'd like to talk about, one of the things was on the sheet on my paperwork was the law enforcement. We got Buzz here. And it was said it overruns in the law enforcement. We needed to have more money because of amount of police protection that was taken for the county. My question to you, one of the questions I was gonna ask is, how many police officers per thousand have we got in this county? How many do you want?
Well,
How many deputies do you have right
Yeah,
now?
How many do we got right now, and how many do we need? How many does we need?
Well, and we did add 2 deputies into this
During the
budget.
pandemic, we added 2 deputies.
Well, no, we added 2 deputies on this one.
this one
For
for,
the upcoming.
Because we got 2
How
retirements
many
coming up.
deputies do we have?
we have 13 counting the sheriff down, 13. Sheriff deputies,
No, when I say police officers,
and
you gotta
sheriff,
figure,
that's counting
you
me.
gotta figure the city ones.
No,
No,
No, we do.
no.
So then we don't figure the population of independents then because they got their own police force.
So
Their
you're,
police force is down to 2 people. I think they're not retiring either at this point in time. Ralph, is that correct?
Pardon me?
The police officers for independents, they're not rehiring, are they? The ones that they've lost,
For a moment, we're not rehiring simply due to budget purposes.
right? And I know Jessup only has 4, that's including the chief. And so you're only 2.
How many Fairbank got Buzz?
They're all part-time.
There's a whole bunch of you over there though.
Yeah,
4, 5.
so it sounds like you're talking about mutual aid where they can jump in
Well,
and we
no,
had some
no,
shortage or.
what I'm asking, here's what I'm saying. That, okay, I'm in the rural area. Okay, so it's Buzz appointed to be the police protector. That's what the sheriff's office is for the rural area. And the parents has got its own police force. Fairbank's got its own police force. These small towns, they pay Buzz, but they're using my police force. And what I'm saying is that I wanna know how many policemen we got for the rural population out there. We should know that. You should know that off the tip of your tongue.
Well, for the rule, we have 13 of us.
13, but what's the rural population?
20,000.
So divide that down.
It's 1 for every 1,500 people. One
So is
officer.
that enough?
No,
Sometimes no.
Sometimes it's too many.
if it was just for taking calls and, handling, but there's so much, just being seen, being out there covering 24/7, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So that's where you come into, that's a lot of coverage. And, you know, you gotta give these guys time off and things like that. That goes along with it.
Right, we ain't asking someone to work 12 hours a day. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
you gotta work up. You know, I think I have any deputies if you
Right.
do that. But
Based on our agendas, we allow 3 minutes and we've gone way over that 3 minutes per speaker. So I'm gonna open it up for anybody else that has comments.
John, this is Janet from the Secondary Road Department.
Hi,
How are you? I'd like to address the lady that asked about the dust control. Is that Kitty?
Yes.
I can't see it. I'm on like a 4x2 screen, so I can't hardly see. But that was done years ago with the old system, and Alex just scanned it in. So I have the new one I just worked up this morning, and we'll be getting that on the website. And as far as the dates go, in the past, I've just changed them for you guys because we kind of do it through email. But there will be an updated one.
Now that's called efficiency, Brian.
Thank you, Janet. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now, somebody had a question. Yep, Allison.
Okay, back to the budget. You said you had a 1930 something building
1939,
that needs restored.
this one.
Building you're sitting in. I've been
Have you
happy to
looked
take
at
you upstairs.
Oh, yeah.
The reason I'm asking is because I've been looking for grants for the cemetery
Yeah.
and everything comes back to historic building.
Yeah. And we are on the historic building registry. And we had Martin Gardner Architecture come in here and they were helping us last year. Looking for grants because we have restoration that has to be done. And since it is an historic building, it has to be done in a very specific way. So it's extremely expensive.
And that drives your costs up.
It does.
And those
But
grants.
thank you. No, here, that's a really good suggestion. And we are looking into that. Other questions? Bob?
John, how much control of your budget with all the constraints from the state and the federal government do you actually have? Schools, the superintendent only has like 13.5% control of their total budget because of the state and the federal requirements and the control that they have. Do you have 100% or because of the things, how much, what percent do you really have that you can control?
Well, since mandated, yeah.
I would say probably control about 70% of it.
No,
You,
remember secondary railroads?
well, secondary roads, we don't, economic or, emergency management,
Conservation,
conservation.
public health,
Public
nine
health.
one one.
They look for grants and things like that, they're giving it to too, so.
The majority of public health's budget is grants.
And actually law enforcement, we don't have a whole lot of
No. And I mean,
control over either. So not revise my, answer.
Okay. So like I said, I mean, schools superintendent can only control 13%. And, you know, the state controls the tax level of schools. You don't have really any control of the taxes because they tell you what you can raise or what you have to lower
Right.
and those type of things. So
Well, and
it makes it hard.
it makes it challenging.
Yes.
And as elected officials, we don't come in here wanting to raise anybody's taxes, and we're taxpayers also. And so we're very cognizant of that. But when you go through a budget book that's that thick and have to look at all those things that we end up having to spend money on, most of it's, by the time we get done to that point right there, we've gone through and tried to cut out as much waste and junk as we possibly can. Ralph?
Sort of a follow-up to his question. We, in one of our work sessions just recently, we discussed about, you know, what part we actually have control of. And on the city level, we only can basically control about a third of our spending. The rest is all dictated by the federal government, the states, and everything. And this is one of the unseen factors a lot of people don't realize is we are not in control of 100% of our money that we spend. There's so many dictates out there and things that you have to refer to. I would think the county would probably be pretty close to that, somewhere 30-35%, I would think.
right, because your local option sales tax, we turned that a lot over to Brian. You have your road use tax that has to be spent on roads. We have Brian's budget that actually has to have I have to spend
The minimum
70%
taxation rate. Yep.
percent
max.
of your max budget in order to get 25% federal.
Yeah, and when you start talking, it might even be more than that federal at different times. The Quashnet Diagonal's got 1.7 million in it. The road south of Aurora will have 1.9 million in federal funds in it. Yeah, and if you want those monies, you have to maintain the minimum taxation rates.
Yeah, otherwise you don't get them.
And those federal funds are still your tax dollars.
Yep.
Yeah, it's still your.
It's just the ones that the federal government has. They're just giving them back to us.
And when it comes to a lot of the grants, you have, in order to get that grant money, you have to turn around and put in X amount of dollars of your own money in order to get that grant money. So if you're looking for $1.5 million in grant money, you might have to put 300,000 of your own money in. And I mean, yeah, the budget's not as simple as a lot of people assume it is.
Right. Well, and sometimes those grants too, like you end up paying for almost the whole project before you start getting the refunds
Before you get
from.
You have to have it budgeted.
You're gonna have to have the cash balance to do it.
Yeah, it's a reimbursable grant, which,
So I hope that kind of helps capture part of that budget percentage thing.
It does. Yes, Bonnie?
Just a quick comment of, we come to almost all of the meetings. And so we've seen what goes on here with taking the bids, trying to find the cheapest way, trying to find the person who will do it the best so it will last longer. Trying to say if, trying to decide if you can do this year, or can this be put off? Because, the money is tight here, so maybe we can put this off for another couple of years. We've seen the angst that goes on, and budgets are hard. I wouldn't be in your position for any.
anyone else comments? Yes.
I got one. Dang, Kurtz, I pretty much know everybody in the room. And I have a question for Supervisor Wheeland. Considering that you always want everything on the record, now it's going to be. I want to know why you tried to have me arrested Friday. That's to you, Mr.
That's the question?
Yes.
I didn't try to have you arrested. I did report a communicated threat to the police officer.
That was no threat. And had you read it, you would have realized that. I said right in the text, the reason why you're not being able to see this as a threat is because it isn't one. But you still called the police.
No, I walked down to him.
Okay. I want to know why.
Because any credible, any threat, any communicated threat is going to be reported. I don't care. I don't discriminate against any individual. If it's a threat,
So
it's going to be reported.
anybody that pushes back on you,
Oh, no.
it's gonna get threatened with arrest.
If they threatened you
Seriously?
for arrest, that was beyond me. That wasn't my call.
I don't know, Buzzy, did you find the call log?
I looked into it. There was, what it stated in there that, that it just wanted to be put on record. There was no request for anybody to be arrested or anything like that.
There you go. There's your answer.
But that's BS. If you can't, you better grow some thicker skin. If you can't take some criticism, you have no place sitting in that chair.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Any more advice, I'd be glad to give
Thank
you.
you for your comments. Anyone else?
Right, yeah. All right, so I think there's a lack of transparency is basically what it amounts to. So as much information that you guys have in your possession, it would be an easier way for people to see it all online, because they can't make it to the meetings. They got jobs and other things.
There's
Like if there's a way that you guys can make it that way.
it's awful hard to put all of this online. I'm just saying, I mean, but when we had our budget hearings, they were open to the public. Anybody could have come. And if you wanted a copy of the worksheet at that point in time, we would have been more than happy to give you.
No, I know, but when I was trying to dig into taxes and how much they cost and where their bills are coming from, it's pretty hard. Cause there's from 5 years ago and 10 years ago and things that are already existing, or they just say generically, we paid, John, and we don't know why. As you guys are going on from now on, I think maybe you guys could try to post as much as you can, so then there would be less confusion or ways that they could maybe offer up.
That's a really good question, and it's difficult. Our accounting software only has so many characters available per line. So we can't get into, we bought a box of staples, box of copy
It's
paper.
less about staplers and cost of staplers. So,
But I'm just using that as an example.
yeah.
For instance, when we go, say we redo a bridge.
Yeah.
You have multiple contractors that are participating in that project. And even looking at the project summaries that we get, it's
Overwhelming.
overwhelming. And most of the time, it doesn't get down to, well, he had to drive these anchors or whatever it was. It's part of that project. I don't know if I'm explaining that very well, but
No, I don't think I would need line by line. I think we're looking for is, we're working on the secondary roads up in Quoski. Okay, if I'm not driving to Quoski every day, I wouldn't know you guys are doing a bridge repairment or an adjustment to, and then in the future, there's gonna be future billing. Like, if you generically just wrote that, boom, this is happening, this is going on, that'd be great. I think that would give us an answer. I mean, it's a real quick summary
On are published and on our website.
on the website.
Yeah, on the county website. So any action during the Board of Supervisors meeting, that's all on the.
Some of those meetings that I found that when you're trying to read it though, you're just like, what are they talking about? Is, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're going into, you know,
that's why over a year ago, we decided that we wanted to have our meetings available on YouTube so people could watch them at their convenience
great.
versus trying to make it at that meeting at 9:00.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because there's no good time of day to have a meeting.
No. I mean.
Everybody's got
for
different
people who are
schedules
public
and different.
hearings.
I don't see any reason we couldn't scan these in and put them on the website.
Yeah,
It's a closed button.
or, and maybe even, as much or a little as you wanted, you know, I'm just saying that like maybe.
Do you want to put?
But you'd be surprised what people can come up with as solutions when, you know, there's lots of people out there in this world that come up with better and more creative ways to come up with solutions that may not be offered. That you don't know about, and then when they put out and they see something, or they're very aware of what's going on or what chapters are, you know. I mean,
We have a hard enough time understanding what every one of those lines is without explanation. I can't imagine the general public being able to look at it.
You never know, there might be an expert in the
All
crowd.
the information is also out on the Department of Management's website.
Yes, it is.
These, line by line?
No, not
Okay.
line like, not line
okay,
by
so
line.
where
the
are
overall
all three of
budget
these
is
records? You said it's on YouTube for the video, for the meetings.
Right.
Okay.
Buchanan County YouTube, it's called.
Okay, and then the other information is put on where?
Regarding the budget, it's all out on the Department of Management's website. We're required by Iowa code to, basically, we send them the information, we input it, and they format everything. Same way with
Department of
the
Management, that's all I have to Google and they'll be up.
Department of
Okay,
Management.
and then go under Buchanan County. Okay,
Yeah, when we do valuations, that's all out there. The
Okay.
property valuations is all out on there.
okay.
For all 99 counties, all the
Anywhere
cities,
else that
all
you
the
guys have
schools.
the information? Is that the two?
Pardon me?
That's the two, then YouTube and the Department of
For the
Management.
budget is the Department of Management.
Any other that you guys put out in public?
Secondary roads will go through the DOT system, an awful lot of
Okay,
that. And
so secondary roads.
yeah, the county engineer service bureau is where a lot of that information is available. I don't know what the general public gets access to, but if you want to set up an appointment sometime, I'd gladly try and go through
Yeah,
everything on that.
okay, DOT. So they don't publicize that, right?
No, but we say DOT, it's actually the Iowa County Engineer Service Bureau is where that information's stored.
Where it's public record, you mean?
Yeah, ICEA, SB, it's
Oh,
kind
God.
of complicated.
Maybe you put
But
three-
That's why that.
Put those three listings on Facebook or whatever, but that would, I'm just saying that like,
And it also
it
compares,
will be available, that if you just say those are available, because me trying to Google and trying to find all these places and then go back to the meetings was challenging, to say the least. It wasn't my goal to be a chairman or supervisor and know all this information,
virtually
so,
all the money spent through secondary roads goes through that way, because in reality, we have about 3 separate budgets. We've got the local budget, we've got the farm market budget, but I can't spend any of that money if I don't maintain the 75% on the local side. And then we'll have our our bridge funds through the federal highway. And that's all managed the DOT.
I like your department cut.
What's that?
I'd rather have a bumpy road and not have my taxes high. Although you do a good job, I'll give you
We
that.
tax at the minimum. We
Roads
tax
are
at
fine.
the minimum. Yeah, if we were to tax any less, other than more than 1%, then
Brian,
we
I'm gonna
wouldn't.
cut you off. Anybody else? I, think we've gone.
Make a quick comment, it's, for the Buchanan County Law Enforcement, an observation on the back northeast road.
Whoa, which,
Responding to the, I know response time is very important, but, I wish you would, please, tell your deputies to be extra careful. I mean, they've been,
what road is this, Fred?
this is one going by the baby farm.
Out of a boulevard.
Okay,
We've had a lot of calls out there.
Mhm.
And, this time of year, there's a lot of tractors pulling out and people going across the road to, get their meal and stuff.
There's a lot of people that walk on that road too.
And, I just
Right, but
hate to see your deputies here. Something happen. Maybe those instances to be a little extra careful and observant,
up and up there,
because there's some hills there that, you're not seeing until it's,
on top of it.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
thank you, everyone. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, over the screen.
Appreciate everybody's comments and